Welcome, Crusader fans. It is time for basketball season. The leaves are changing and the weather's turning, so we are going to be hitting the hardwoods soon. We're here with assistant coach of the men's basketball team, Andy Winters, and obviously this is usually where we would be bringing in head coach Damon Goodwin, but some news out of the men's basketball program that does need to be addressed before we begin this season. We're going to turn it over to who will be the interim head coach this season, Andy Winters. Andy, can you shed some light on the situation?
Unfortunately, Damon was diagnosed with a treatable form of leukemia. The positive news is that it's 80-90% success rate. So, we expect to have him back hopefully, this summer. But he's going to have to take some time away for himself and his family and start the road to recovery. And, he's a high spirit, and I just talked to him recently, and, he's full support of everything that's going on, and we wish him all the best and thank everyone for their thoughts and prayers.
And obviously, everybody out there, if you could keep your thoughts and your prayers with Damon Goodwin and his family throughout the course of the season, everybody would be most appreciative of that. So in the meantime, assistant coach Andy Winters will be the interim head coach, taking over the reins for Coach Goodwin. And so you get to be in the hot seat for all of the upcoming interviews. Mm-hmm. And so we'll start off right where we would usually start with Coach Goodwin, and that's just the off-season last year. Last year was a little bit of a down season for Capital basketball, but we transition into this year. So how long did you actually take away from the game just to kind of detox from last season?
Sure. Well, with camps in the summer, we were still around our guys quite a bit. And once camps finished up, we all took a personal note to get away for a while. Obviously, last year was a bit of a down year for us, so we needed to get away from each other and get away from everybody, and thinking about what we have to do for this coming year and how we're going to take the court here in a week, and hopefully that personal time away has helped us out. So.
Well, I can only imagine that personal time was probably very short-lived, and you guys were right back to work.
Yep.
So once you did get back to the hardwood, what was the first point of emphasis that you wanted to drill home with the team?
Bringing back that Capital hard work that everybody expects from Capital. I think we gotten away a little bit from personally guys pushing themselves and taking credit. To work as hard as they can in the off season, in the summer, in the fall, in the spring when the season was over, and get back to that Capital grind where we're going to grind you out, by working harder and coming prepared for the season. And that's what we are trying to install back with a large freshman class, and they've done a good job already in the first couple weeks of the season, showing that they're doing that.
Well, it sounds like it's more of a mental shift than a physical shift, would you say?
Yeah, I would say just getting right in the right mindset about what it takes to be a winner and doing the things right on and off the court.
And you said it yourself, it's going to be a nice big freshman class this year. A lot of new faces, and so let's talk about them. Just talk about first the group. What are some of the attributes that are going to characterize this group of freshmen that you bring in?
I would say the biggest thing is that how close they are. The first couple weeks of school, they were asking, when can they get in the gym? When can they lift weights? When all that stuff starts? And they've done a great job of kind of taking leadership as freshmen and pushing the upperclassmen and showing that, hard work will pay off. And that's what we're most happy with them about is they continue to push themselves and the upperclassmen as freshmen. And it's helped everybody and gone through the whole team so far.
In some side conversations that we've had, it sounds like a lot of those freshmen are going to get significant minutes. So can you talk about some of those guys that we're going to be seeing out there getting some PT? Sure.
With the large freshman class, there's a couple guys that stand out. First, Austin Schreck. He's a Northern Kentucky kid. He's physically ready to play, which is something you don't see out of a lot of 17, 18-year-old freshmen. And he comes and brings a lot to our team that we're excited about. Will Hanna from Milford. He's a shooting guard, very skilled, very sought-after recruit. We're very happy to land Will. Caleb Cox, another Cincinnati kid from Oak Hills, a 6'7" post player that brings us some size and toughness that we're looking for. And Joe Thomas, a Columbus kid from Centennial High School, who brings us some athleticism and hard work and tough nose, and we're excited for all those guys.
Well, it sounds like that there is going to be a lot more size out of that freshman class. Looking up and down the roster, it's not just height. You got some pounds on there this year.
Yeah, we that was one thing we wanted to hit with recruiting is guys that could be physically ready to play as freshmen, whatever that means. Not necessarily starting, but contributing in practice, contributing whatever minutes they earn during the game.
Now, the freshman class aren't the only new faces that we will see this season. You've got a couple other guys that have either transferred in or have reemerged with the Capital program. So talk about a couple guys that we may not have seen before, but this year we will.
Sure. Mark Minch is a senior transfer from Ohio Dominican from Lakota. He's going to bring a lot of athleticism and skill to our program. He's a great kid, works his butt off. He's going to be a new face. He'll only be with us for a year. And Mike Green is another senior who will be with us for a year, who took a year off and was a part-time student and is continuing back full-time. And we're excited about both of them and what they bring.
Well, then you got to talk about some of the returners, too. I mean, there were some guys last year that played really, really well. Probably the headliner of that group is A.J. Dixon. Can you talk about him and the leadership that he'll bring to the table?
Yeah, A.J. started since his freshman year, and that's nice to have a guy like that understands what we're looking for and knows that he has 1 year to do this. He's worked the hardest he has in this summer, pushed himself. I think he's finally understanding, it's over after this year, and that's something that, with his leadership and his hard work and his skill, we're excited for the year he'll have.
You got a lot of guards coming back after graduating your two big post players. So some of those guards that are going to be fighting for positions and playing time are going to be Tyrell Jackson and Kurt Geisey. So can you talk about them?
Yeah, Tyrell, same as AJ, worked very hard this summer. He has been a very big surprise for us as far as the amount of work he put in. So we're very excited for Tyrell. Curtis is the same. Those guys just have experienced minutes on them. They've played a lot as sophomores and freshmen in the past couple of years, and they understand what it takes and have been through the grind of a season, and they're helping out the freshmen a ton.
And Kurt, probably one of the scrappiest players in the OAC as well. He could probably be compared to Matt Dellavedova of any Cavs fans out there.
He is one of the toughest kids on the team. He'll play. He won't tell you he's injured. He'll just fight and scrap, and he'll want to win more than anybody else.
Talk about some of the other returners that might see some expanded roles this year.
We have Wes Beam, who is coming off a knee injury. He'll be back. He'll be fighting a couple of the post players in the incoming freshmen for a spot. We have a kid from another sophomore, Brennan Chukrin, who played a good amount as a freshman as a backup who we're expecting to compete for some playing time. And then we are excited about what he brings. And then another sophomore, Jack Gideon, who is also fighting for some time.
As far as strengths on this team goes, I'm sure that there are quite a few of them that we're going to be looking forward to. What are they?
I think the biggest strength is how much these guys enjoy playing together and the team chemistry. And they come to practice every day with an excitement about themselves. And that's the biggest thing to me is that, they want to be there, they want to get better, and they want to do all that they can, to make Coach Goodwin happy and the program happy, and they're doing a good job.
Well, they're going to have to do it against a very tough OAC conference.
Yep.
It's always perennially a very tough conference.
Right.
Talk about some of those teams that you already have marked on the calendar as teams that are going to be tough to beat this year.
Well, obviously your Marietta, Mount, John Carroll, who all made the tournament last year. They're very good. Heidelberg has most of their players back. They're improved. The OAC is very good from top to bottom, and that's the one thing that our guys have to understand is that each game, whoever we're playing is going to be a tough test. But with teams like Mount and Marietta who are already ranked preseason rankings, so we'll see, and we'll be excited to play them.
Now, your non-conference schedule is always constructed to helpfully bring these guys along and expose them to some pretty tough teams, and you've got a pretty tough task ahead of you in the non-conference slate. So talk about some of the teams that you're excited about playing outside of the OAC.
Sure. Traditionally, Capitals always played a tough schedule. Playing, with the NCAC, we're playing Wittenberg, Ohio Wesleyan, Denison, teams that have a very good tradition, and that will be very tough games this year. We're also going to Tennessee for a trip to play Blackburn and Boyce, which, again, we don't know much about, but it will be, a good test for us early, and Mount St. Joe's as well, who's picked to win their conference. So, we're going to play a tough non-league schedule to get us ready for our regular season with our conference schedule, and that's, we do that for a reason, so our guys are prepared going into the first game of the OAC.
And lastly, Coach Winters, this year is probably going to be a time where you're going to be evaluating these guys from start to finish and probably even beyond. What do you expect to see out of the team in the first game? And then what do you expect to see out of them in the last game as they grow?
A little inexperienced because we will be playing a few freshmen, and they're going to have to grow up pretty quickly. Traditionally, Capitals had, guys that are juniors and seniors that have kind of taken over the spots, and we're going to have to play a little more freshmen than usual. So growing up and getting the experience from game one to the final game of the season is probably going to be the biggest adjustment for us.
Coach, this is going to be an exciting season, I can tell. Everybody out there in Cap Crusader land, make sure that you mark your calendars. November 14th is going to be the first game of the season. That's going to be at Otterbein, but against Wittenberg. And then again, circle November 29th, which will be the first home game. We'll have Mount St. Joe's coming to town on Sunday at 6 p.m. here at the Capitol Center. Coach Winters, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. Be sure to follow Cap Men's Basketball on Twitter at Capital_MBB, and also follow Cap Crusaders on Twitter as well. For interim head coach Andy Winters, I'm Ryan Gasser. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and go Crusaders.